News from Ranthambore Tiger Reserve in Rajasthan, one of the most famous tiger reserves in the country. Now, this morning, a tiger was spotted in a village adjoining the park, which created panic, given that recently 2 people have been killed by tigers, a tigress in fact, and this includes a forest department ranger who was killed on Sunday and a child who was killed a few weeks earlier. While the tiger in this village was a different tiger, it did create panic but was finally tranquilized by the forest department. Now, on Sunday, the shocking incident of the ranger being killed, Devendra Chaudhary, he was killed by a tigress near Jogi Mahal. The forest department has said it's the same tigress that killed the 7-year-old boy on the 16th of April. And this has brought the attention to reports of live baiting that was taking place near Jogi Mahal, which could have led to this abnormal behavior among her offspring and now habituated to bait. Let's listen into what one of the locals had to say.
घटना हुई सुबह 6 बजे के करीब हमारे खेत में आ गया और बैठा हुआ था पहले से, पता नहीं कब से बैठा था। वो देखा, घर वालों ने दिखा खेत में घूमता हुआ, तब जाके देखा तो इन्फॉर्म किया डिपार्टमेंट को। आया डिपार्टमेंट, आके देखा, बैठा रहा डिपार्टमेंट और सब देखते रहे। ट्रैंकुलाइज किया उसको। ट्रैंकुलाइज करने के बाद में वो भाग के दूसरी तरफ आके पास में एक होटल है उसमें जाके घुस गया। तो अब ट्रैंकुलाइज करके उसको ले जा चुके हैं।
Thank you so much, Dr. Ranthambore, for joining us. And first and foremost, there's a lot of concern over the fact that 2 people have been killed by a tiger in just a month's time. And also, there are reports of this baiting that may have affected their behavior.
Gargi, good to be here. But yeah, definitely, arrowhead that it developed a tumor on the near the anus. Was finding it very difficult to hunt, and she had given birth, and that was the time when the department resorted to baiting. And this is not the first time. This has happened in many states, in many tiger reserves. Even in Ranthambore in the past, it has been seen that old tigresses have been baited, and that's how they have lived to about 17, 18 years. So this practice is going on. In this situation, however, because there were cubs along with her, and cubs are learning from their mothers. The mother is the school, the university, and everything for the cubs. And when you bait a family of tigers, and obviously it is not a closed area, which means it is also accessible to other tigers. It is possible that several tigers in that area are getting habituated, and because the tigress is hitting from a buffalo calf or whatever that was being tied, the cubs have grown, seeing that if after a few days, if they are hungry, they will have to go to a certain place, and there will be some food waiting for them. And that can create familiarization, which means that if the baiting is happening in front of the tigers, which means if the animal is tied, when the tigers are already sitting there, then they start associating food with humans. And as a next step, they may get bold. They may then become potentially dangerous, and that's what you have seen. Even on
what we're seeing with 2 people killed, including a 7-year-old child. We do know a lot of pilgrims also enter Ranthambore to go to the fort area and to the temple there. But now, what can be done, Anish? We do know that the department wants to shift out this tigress since she was involved in the killings, this sub-adult tigress. However, so far we believe that from Jaipur, the go-ahead has not come.
No, I think. See, if an attack happens, and if there were witnesses, and which there were, they know, and if you know for sure that it was not an accident, because a lot of times humans unknowingly venture into an area where there's a tiger resting under a thicket, or a tigress with a cub, or a tiger on a kill. In this kind of a situation, the tiger gets annoyed and attacks. Now, that attack is different. However, from an attack where there were none of these factors, and the tiger took a measured call and went for a human being. When that happens, and in both these cases, unfortunately, these are people who have walked inside the core of the park. These are tiger habitats, and for years and decades, people have been going to the pilgrims have been entering. Parikrama happens where lakhs of people are walking inside the tiger reserve. So these were semi-provoked in a way. However, when you know the history of this subadult, which has been baited The department knows that the
Yes.
cub is fearless, and that a child was picked. At that point itself, action should have been taken. And now that they know for sure, see, first thing is to know. If they know that the second attack was also meted out by the same tigress, it should have taken them hours to get the tigress out, and it is very easy to tranquilize this particular tiger because the tiger has been baited in the past, which means you could tie a bait and this tiger
and have a
plus,
team there ready to tranquilize the tiger. Anish, just very quickly also what happened this morning where this tiger was spotted. This is a different tiger spotted in a field, obviously create a lot of anxiety. You have, the team coming and tranquilizing and taking it away. But this is also something that one sees in, around tiger reserves where a lot of young tigers move out looking for fresh territories.
Gargi, this is why conservationists have been talking about corridors. In Ranthambore and in several of our parks, core has a very hard boundary. If you look at the design of the tiger reserve, then normally you should have a core encircled by a buffer zone, which is the low density human area. But in case of Ranthambore, in one part of Ranthambore, the area which is towards Sawai Madhapur, that side, from core directly you enter into the village or the town, and as a result tigers dispersing tigers, and because there are young animals there are so many subadults, they will all have to move because the park has fixed area. So these tigers will venture out in search of territory. Also during this time when they are about 2 months to 20 months or 24 months, mothers stop sharing food with them, and so therefore they suddenly get a shock of their lives. The mother that fed them for so long has suddenly stopped reacting to them or may have become aggressive. In that situation, they do go in search of food, in search of another area, and this is the time when the department has to be very, very careful and always on vigil. But this is going to happen if we don't have good corridors. And even when you have corridors, the tigers which are on the hard boundary side, they are going to come out. So I am not surprised. But it's good to know that the department acted rapidly and that the tiger has been tranquilized and brought in. But again, coming back to the kills, I think that tigress, if they know for sure the identity of the tiger, that tiger should also be tranquilized and taken out and kept in captivity.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Anish. And yes, we've been talking with you here on NDTV about the need for tiger corridors as well as how one has to move fast in cases of man-animal conflict. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us here on the program.